Andrew Tate. I really have no idea about the guy, I'm going to be honest with you. From what I understand, he's one of those alpha male, red pill kinds of podcasters, and you know what, that's fine. I really don't have much of an issue with that. With that said though, we're going to be talking about some of the things that he has to say about self-defense, especially pertaining to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, as many people know, Andrew Tate is actually a kickboxing world champion, so that's actually really good for him. However, just because he's a kickboxing world champion doesn't mean that he actually knows about violence. And of course, Andrew has proven this to be true on more than one occasion on multiple different podcasts that he's appeared on. Now, I want to remind everybody that yes, I am a longtime Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, and as much as I love Jiu-Jitsu, I have to say that I'm not really a big fan of the direction that it's been taken in over the last however many years. I feel that it's kind of watered down. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to understand that I'm not coming at this from a standpoint of being some weird cultist who feels he needs to defend the honor of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or anything like that. Andrew Tate has said some things in the past that could get people hurt, and we're going to be talking about that. So with all that out of the way, we're going to take a look at what he had to say on the Fresh and Fit podcast.
Everyone loves BJJ and never shuts up about BJJ. BJJ. Let me tell you something. BJJ is absolutely useless outside of the cage or your dojo. It's useless on the street.
What is BJJ for people that
Brazilian
don't know?
Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
It's useless. You can't do a double leg takedown on concrete. You're going to fuck yourself up.
Yes, you can, and it's called a blast double. You can do a bunch of different kinds of takedowns on concrete. You can do throws, you can do trips, you can do sweeps, and anything that requires you to change a level, like a double or single leg takedown, can be modified so that it becomes more like a blast double or a snatch single. The really strange thing about this argument is that he knows what a double leg takedown is, which would imply that he's seen some kind of grappling or MMA before. And if he's seen MMA, then he would know that people rarely ever shoot in for takedowns in the traditional way anymore. Typically, you're going to see the blast double because it's a lot easier to score from an upright position, such as a boxing or a kickboxing stance.
Even if you do take him down to the ground, many submissions don't work if he can bite, or if he can scratch your eyes, or if he can pull a knife.
Facts.
See, this is the cope that's typically used by people that don't know how to fight. They always resort back to, oh, I'm going to poke your eyes, I'm going to bite your dick, and things like that. And it's really interesting to me that Andrew Tate is the one saying this, because here we have the alpha male, the red-pilled influencer, the top G, sitting here saying that in the middle of a street fight, he's going to put his mouth on another man's dick if it means winning the fight. Now, other than that implication being a little bit strange, the fact of the matter is it's not going to work out the way you think it is, because here I have a rear naked choke. Your head is here, Mr. Andrew. My head is facing this way. You try to go for my eyes. I'm not just going to let you do that. What I'm going to do is turn my head the other way, and I know what you think you're going to do. You're going to go to the other side. You're going to give me the old reach around to the other side, and you're going to try and get my eyes when I'm facing this way. But guess what? I'm just going to do the same damn thing that I did a second ago. And it's not going to take that long for you to be choked out because you're not protecting your neck in any way, shape, or form. It might take 2, maybe 3 of those little switches before you are completely unconscious. And by the way, if you're lucky, you'll have tried to do that to somebody who's really, really chill. Because if you end up getting a psycho, you basically just gave them a justification to kill you, to not let go of that rear naked choke until you are dead. And even if you do manage to stick a finger in my eye, I'm not just going to let go. It's not like a release button or an eject button or anything like that. If anything, I'm going to squeeze harder because I'm now in a lot of pain, and it's going to help me to cope with the pain, kind of like a wooden spoon in the mouth when you're having a limb amputated. Now, the other thing he mentioned about knives is kind of frustrating, and the reason why is because he does actually have a point. Nobody wants to get stabbed. I don't want to get stabbed. I don't know about you. And if somebody ends up pulling a knife on you, you should just get out of there ASAP. The second you can exit the area, get out of there. Do not wait around. However, with that said, not that many people are carrying knives, and even fewer people are going to pull a knife to try to kill you in a street fight. Now, I'm not trying to discount the fact that it happens. It does happen, and in fact, it happens kind of frequently. However, not nearly as frequently as he seems to be trying to pass it off. And honestly, I think part of the reason why he's trying to make this seem more relevant than it is because he's been involved in some really strange things in the past, judging by some of the other things that I've heard him say. The fact of the matter is, most people are just trying to get through their day so they can go home and do whatever it is they like to do in their spare time. Not everybody is lurking around every corner with a knife or some other weapon.
Thirdly, you don't know if he has friends. You're going to take him to the ground, put him in an arm bar, and his friend's going to fucking kick you in the head or curb stomp you, and you're going to die.
Yeah.
Right? The number one rule of street fighting is stay on your feet.
Yes.
Number one
Yes.
rule. You might need to run. You probably should run. You hit a dude and he goes, run. You don't know, he might get up and draw. What are you standing around for?
So Andrew's actually making a very good point here, and I agree with him. If there is ever any kind of issue on the streets, you should get out of there. It doesn't matter if it's one person or 100 people. It doesn't matter if they're armed or unarmed. There's no reason for you to stick around if you can run, because at the end of the day, that's just how the problem gets worse. So by that logic, yes, you should try to stay on your feet in a street fight. However, what happens when you can't stay on your feet? What happens when you trip and fall? What happens if you end up getting taken down? What are you going to do then? According to the top G, Andrew Tate, what the alpha males do in that situation is die. They just die, because jiu-jitsu is for dorks, apparently. It's not a good idea for you to know how to get up when you've fallen over, especially how to get up in a way that's going to protect you from getting football fooped in the head. Not only does the point he was trying to make highlight how warped his mindset is, it also highlights the importance of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu, as a grappling art, is going to teach you how to get up in a way that's not only going to keep you protected, but it's also going to keep him busy so that he can't take pot shots at you. And not only that, but you're going to learn how to get out from underneath somebody who's trying to hold you down with all their might. And those are two things that you're absolutely positively going to need if you fall over when being jumped by more than one person. It's really insane to me that his answer is basically to run or die. And I know that's not exactly what he said, but that is exactly what is implied by telling someone, don't bother to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Don't bother to learn what to do in the worst case scenario. It is bonkers, and this dude does not know what he's talking about. I'm sorry. So now that we've taken a look at one example of him trashing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, what kind of conclusions can we draw? Now, I really don't know that much about Andrew Tate, I gotta be honest with you. However, I have heard two stories straight from his mouth about him being jumped in Eastern Europe and stabbed in London. These stories are interesting to me because I think it says a lot more about his mindset than he may even realize. When he was telling the stabbing story, he mentioned that it was over a drug debt, which means that he at one point was involved in some shady dealings. So here we have this dude who, to some degree, was involved in a very shady corner of the world in which stabbings, beatings, and shootings tend to happen kind of frequently, at least a lot more frequently than in polite society. Now, I'm not going to judge him for that, because after all, everybody has a past. However, would it be unfair to assume that maybe his outlook on everything has been skewed by what he used to be involved in? This guy seems to put himself in some of the worst possible situations with some of the worst people where the worst outcomes tend to be the norm. Now, I understand being prepared for the worst possible outcome. It's actually a really good idea. However, the worst possible outcome is not always going to happen. And when you only have a hammer, every problem is going to start looking like a nail. Another thing I think Andrew Tate really needs to take into account is the fact that just because you've had violence perpetrated against you, it doesn't mean that you're an expert in violence. It just means you're a victim. If I get beat up every single day for a week, it doesn't mean that I magically know how to win a fight now. It just means that I got beat up. The reason I say this is because Andrew's told a couple of stories about times he's been caught lacking, and when he tells these stories, he seems to try and frame it as though he's now wise because of it, when in reality, the dude just got his ass beat. But anyway, I really hope that Andrew Tate changes his mind about jiu-jitsu, and I really hope that anybody who listens to him knows that that's probably not good advice for them to take. I don't really care about anything else Andrew Tate has to say. That's not what I'm concerned with. What I'm concerned with is what he had to say about grappling. But anyway, that's all for now. If you're wondering why I'm in a different shirt, it's because my camera malfunctioned and I actually had to reshoot this little bit. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and if you like this video, feel free to leave a like and also subscribe for more. And if you have any thoughts on the video, definitely comment down below. Also, if you have any questions for me, you can hit me up on Instagram @ScottSullivanMMA. Other than that, till next time, good luck out there.